monasteries, or even in other monasteries of other sects, are not there voluntarily. I'd say 95% of them do not want to be there. They are merely doing that merely to take over the family business. It is not a personal choice. They are merely holding their breath till the day when they will be allowed to leave the monastery.
But you're using family business. Is this a source of income for the extended family?
Yes, most temples in Japan now are inherited. It's not that people voluntarily go out for training. Very few, maybe somewhere between 5 and 10% of Japanese people fall in the category of, such as myself, where I voluntarily took this choice. And after going through a certain period of training, then took over a temple. Usually the eldest son takes over the family temple. It is a hereditary process now, which of course means that sincerity levels, of course, have declined with this, but it is also a very stable system, and Japanese are very fond of stability. So they are willing, generally speaking, they are willing to trade genuine religious sentiment for stability. That has been the trade-off. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Is there any function for women in Shintoism or Buddhism?
Oh, certainly. You will see. Now, I'm not sure. I don't believe women, generally, they can't attain as high a status officially. But in the Shinto, I'm not sure, but a lot of women go through training there. And I don't believe they can become, say, a high priestess, but they can at least become a priest or a priestess. In Buddhism, yes, they can become nuns, they can head temples, and although they do not have officially have the status that male priests do, in a social sense, they have more status, because women do not inherit temples, generally speaking. So any nun that you see, they stand out more, and everybody generally understands that they are more sincere. They're not merely carrying on their father's business. And while they may not have the official titles that are, say, as high-ranking as male priests and so on, they have at least that much respect, social respect, given to them. And also they can't get married. Other priests, male priests can get married, nuns officially cannot. However, I have seen cases where they do. And in a way they're just considered, in this case, there were no sons to take over the family temple, but there was a daughter, and so she took over the temple, or inherited the temple, and the congregation, if you can call it that, or the temple members, generally don't have any problems with this, and it is her job to produce the next priest. Yes, ma'am.
What is the status of the wives of Buddhist priests?
Very frightening question. What is the status of wives of Buddhist priests? This is a real minefield if ever there was one. Officially, they have no official role. However, in Japan, the wife is, of course, the male is the titular household, head of the household, but the wife really rules the roost. And there are many conflicts now with say, wives. When I think of wives, I think of female instinct, which is to make a nest. While there are a lot of conflicts with a wife who is living in a temple, who makes that her nest, her own private residence, which means that most priests now are married, and if you go visit that priest, there's very likely that you cannot spend the night because there's a wife there and maybe a family. Wives are not very happy to have guests coming and staying. In the olden days in Japan, anybody could go in theory and a lot in practice, people traveled around a lot and stayed in temples, and they were open religious institutions. With temple wives, temples begin to very much resemble just a house, just like any other, in which case you can go visit people, but you just generally don't spend the night or nights on end, or weeks or months. This was common activity in temples when they were first built. And wives hide they are in the shadow of the robe of the abbot or the chief priest, but that is where they operate best. Pretty frightening activity sometimes. I mean, if you if you upset the priest, or if you cross the priest, you know, we're guys, and so it's like, yeah, okay. But if you upset a wife, you're in big trouble. I don't know what to say. I've seen some amazing cases, and the first thing is, don't upset the wife. Yes, sir.
Is the black ship equivalent to gaiji, and would you care to comment on any stigma that you might carry?
Is the black ship equivalent to gaijin, and comment on any stigma that I might have? Black ship. Okay. Black ship equivalent to gaijin. Actually, the black ship is more of a gaijin Godzilla. Oh, gaijin is a foreigner. So, you know, Yankee boy. I get that occasionally. But, yeah, I'm talking Godzilla here. And still, to this day, I can't believe that there are no other foreigners that have become abbots. I find that amazing. This is 1998. And I think that hundreds of people, I'm sure, that have never met me talk about me, I'm sure. My name has been listed in publications, and so it's like, well, here comes the black ship. I'm not officially the chief priest yet, but that's probably going to happen. It is.
There have been many documentaries that show how foreigners are rejected.
Yes. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of foreigner rejection in this country. In my case, yes, I've had some rejection, but on a personal level, it's actually been in a way, to my advantage. Because I'm one of a kind in this country to date, this in a way has made things easier. There has been some problems, I suppose, but it's when I took this step to get my own temple, I knew that there would be problems, and I have been surprised that there are not more problems. I've been surprised at how cooperative and how receptive the Japanese have been. My story is not a story of, oh gee, they don't like me, oh gee, these people are so prejudiced, oh gee, my life is so hard. But no, they've been very receptive, and for example, the people that would say work against me as a foreigner, that's not something they would generally organize to do, or there's not been, as far as I know, any particular movement. Basically, as the first foreigner, I am much more under the spotlight than other people would be. There have been, of course, more concessions, and one way that I've been able to pull this off is that I have been in and out of this country since I was 19 years old. I came here at a very young age. I'm 42 now, and I established this relationship with these Japanese people as family members, not as friends, not so much as colleagues. These people quickly became my family. It was never my goal until the age of 38 to take over a temple. This was something I decided when I was 38 years old. My Zen training was not to take over a temple, not to become a priest. I was merely interested in Zen. I did that a long time ago. And although I've only been in and out of Japan for 12 years, I have been in constant contact with the people, even when I was not in this country. Christmas cards, letters, occasional phone calls. I've bonded very strongly with the people in my immediate circle. And one thing, in terms of the most obvious prejudice was, I guess one might say prejudice, when I first mentioned to them, I would like to have my own temple now, they were mortified. They were mortified. status. And this was not even my idea.